leaked to the media that the deficit will be $60 billion or more. So is it going to be that higher or lower?
And we'll get Chrystia Freeland's answer to that question or non-answer when we come back. Thank you for tuning in to Krayden's Right channel. And this is the Stand on Guard show. I'm David Krayden, and coming back home today. We'll tell you all about it in a minute.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Yes, please like the station. How do you like this light here, eh? This is just, yeah, it's 7 o'clock here in Chilliwack, British Columbia. Coming home. Well, I am really. This is my home province, but I'm going back to my home in Ontario. It's outside of Ottawa today. Thank you for your patience this week, getting these shows together. It's been difficult to say the least, but my pledge was to do a show every day, and I'm doing that. So there's a lot to talk about today. And I got to take credit for something. All week, I've been alluding to the fiscal cliff. And I'm finally hearing people in the mainstream media talk about it. It's like it's dawning on them, the realization that the Liberals are going over the fiscal cliff. They're taking the country with them. And it comes as an absolute shock. Because as some of you have alluded to in your comments, and I'm going to read your comments today, the deficit is going to be $60 billion. That information was leaked by Freeland's finance department. So Pierre Poilievre has been ahead of the curve on this, hasn't he? He's been predicting that the deficit will be in excess of $40 billion. I don't think Poilievre had any idea that it was going to hit $60 billion. Now, what does this mean? It means we're going to have our credit rating downgraded. At the same time, we're looking at tariffs. The walls are closing in on Justin Trudeau and his corrupt, incompetent government. And it's clear that Justin Trudeau is not going to be able to negotiate with Donald Trump, President-elect Donald, soon to be president. We're literally just a month and a week away from Donald Trump being president. And look what's happening. Where have you seen this before? Trudeau's office, Freeland, at odds over spending. Same thing happened to his last finance minister. They were at odds over spending. He was gone. Where have you also seen this with a female cabinet minister? I'm not comparing Freeland to Jody Wilson-Raybould, who I think made a principled stand about corruption in the Trudeau government. Freeland is clearly running scared because she knows she's going to be thrown under the bus by Justin Trudeau. And she knows Trudeau will have absolutely no compunction about doing it when the time comes. Proto-feminist Trudeau will throw another female cabinet minister under the bus, just like he did Jody Wilson-Raybould. And, of course, Jane Philpott, who was a former health minister. They were both gone in the same week. Expendable. Because if you're working for Justin Trudeau, you're always expendable because Justin Trudeau comes first. Team Trudeau. That's what I keep saying. Now, Poilievre, I think, has really latched on to what the issue here. And we'll watch a bit of Jagmeet Singh tap dancing, although he can't tap dance to save his life. He's an incompetent clown. But, of course, he didn't even vote on the Conservative non-confidence motion that quoted just Jagmeet Singh's own words. Instead, he's reaching for this airy-fairy idea of having a permanent GST. Of course they're not going to do that. And listen to where he thinks the money's going to come from. Let's listen to that first. then I'll really get into what's going on here.
That's up.
Now, there's the
Give me a
great man
quick sec.
himself wearing the one suit
Give me a
he
nod when you're
owns.
good to go. Oh, yeah. So nearly every other party in the chamber right now voted against giving the working class a permanent tax cut. It's ludicrous. In addition, they also voted against a senior getting that check. They voted against people living with disabilities getting that check. They voted against a single mom taking care of her kids that had to make sacrifices, not getting a check. That's what they voted for. They voted for them not getting a check. I think it's clear that
I think it's clear you haven't got a hope in hell of saving your seat in the next election. And this is why you keep pretending, yes, I want to take the government down on Monday, but not on Tuesday. You're worried about losing your leadership because I understand the NDP caucus is fit to be tied about your incompetence. And they see you as a lame duck, just as Justin Trudeau. We have two lame duck leaders in the House of Commons, and we have one prime minister in waiting.
Canadians need someone who's going to fight for them, who's going to fight for tax cuts for the working class, not for billionaires. That's why I'm running for prime minister, because it's clear.
No, you're running for opposition leader. You haven't got a hope in hell of ever becoming prime minister.
The Conservatives are bootlickers for billionaires getting that check. They voted against.
Bootlickers for billionaires.
Doesn't help billionaires. They're not in it. And the Liberals continue to let people down. We think that tax cuts should be permanent for the working class. They want it to be temporary. We think that seniors and people living with disabilities should be able to get that check. The Liberals don't agree. I'm going to keep on fighting to make sure we get relief to people now. We want that relief to be permanent, and we want people that need it most to get the checks. I'll do that in French, and then you can ask any questions you like.
Yeah, and here he comes back with some really snappy answers.
Flexibility on the checks. Would you be open to something where it covered seniors on GIS, for example, or something like that?
We want to see the checks improved. How that's done, we'll leave it to the Liberals. They're in government. They're the ones that've got to do it. We want it, though, improved. It's clear right now that some of the people who are most vulnerable are left out. That is wrong. My message to Justin Trudeau is, it is wrong that someone earning $140,000 is going to get a check, but a senior who's worked their entire life, raised their kids, and now is cutting back on groceries because their pension is not going far enough.
Do you think this bozo has any idea of the kind of people he's talking about here? Do you think he's ever met them? Do you think he has any time for them? This man is a complete ponderous hypocrite. He is a clown who parades around the House of Commons like he actually has some right to be there. He's losing his seat in the next election, and he's losing his leadership. This is a latch-ditch campaign by the Jagmeet to stay alive politically.
That person doesn't deserve the check. It doesn't make any sense. So I want to see it improved. How that's done, we're open, we're very flexible, but it has to be improved. Seniors have to get it. People living with disabilities have to get it. A mom trying to take care of her kid should get it.
What do you say, though? There's 18 million people who would get these checks under the Liberals' plan if it can pass the House of Commons. What do you say to those 18 million people?
Well, they deserve a break, but we also need to make sure that some of the most vulnerable people in our country get that break as well. And so we're going to keep on fighting to make sure we get that break to as many people as possible, but particularly the people who need.
Okay, so you hear this? He's not going to bring the government down over this, even if he doesn't get what he wants. He's going to keep on fighting. Going to keep on fighting for my pension. That's what you're fighting for, Jagmeet. You're not fighting for anybody else. You're fighting for your pension and your leadership, and you're hoping you can stay on as leader and at least get your pension out of this before you're defeated in the next election.
Need it most. We've heard from people. I've spoken with people. They tell me all the time. They say, "Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that a senior should get it. You know, someone earning $140,000 gets a check, but not a senior. Doesn't add up."
Prime Minister, directly about this matter?
No. But we've raised the issue and made it very clear publicly. I've said it again and again. I asked a question today in question period on this. We've made it clear. If you want those checks out the door, they have to include seniors and people living with disabilities. It has to include families that need it most. And that's now the Liberals know exactly where we stand.
Syria, the Canadian government, should they delist the HCS as a terrorist organization?
First of all, what's going on in Syria, there's been a lot of pain, there's been a lot of upheaval, but the most recent news, I think, is a little bit.
You can see this man's incredible grasp of foreign affairs. Yeah, it's been a lot of pain and upheaval in Syria. Can you imagine for a minute somebody this challenged, intellectually challenged, being the prime minister?
Bit of hope for folks to see the Assad regime no longer now in power, being kicked out of the country. I think for a lot of people, that was a moment of a little bit of relief. There is still a lot going on in the region. And so I think we have to be very careful about what our next steps are. We'll review that specific matter and make our determination in terms of where Canada should go.
Asylum claims for Syrians, should the Canadian government keep accepting them? We're seeing Germany, Austria, France stopping that already.
Again, I think this is another question that we need to reflect a bit on. This has just happened. There's still.
It'll cost $1.5 billion for the temporary GST holiday. How would you propose to pay for a permanent one, which would obviously be more expensive for the government?
Okay, catch this. How's he going to pay for his GST holiday for everybody? And of course, he claims to be fiscally prudent. Tax the rich, of course. Tax the corporations so they can leave Canada.
Yeah, we've said that we believe in being very prudent with the way we make our decisions. So we said the working class deserves a tax break, and the way we would pay for it is with an excess profit tax. This is something that other countries have put in place to great effect. United Kingdom, Germany, Spain.
Yeah, the great effect has been for these companies to leave the country. That's your great effect. This halfwit can't even figure that out. What is an excess profit? An excess profit is having you in the House of Commons and getting a pension and a salary. That's an excess profit.
Have all put in place some form of excess profit tax, which has been a great revenue generator. The PBO has also looked at that measure here in Canada. We would pay for it by putting in place a measure that would say for the most profitable, largest corporations contributing a bit more, we could give the working class a break. I'm sick and tired of CEOs and billionaires getting tax break after tax break. I'm sick and tired of conservatives who continue to bootlick for billionaires, but say no to the working class. I want to say, I'm saying let's give the working class a break and let's make those that are making the most profit.
Okay, I'm sick and tired of listening to Jagmeet Singh, the Maserati Marxist, the Jacuzzi Marxist, talk about how the conservatives are bootlicking for corporations when you're the rich guy going around with ostentatious wealth. You have nothing in common with anything called working class or blue collar or average Canadians. You haven't got a clue who you're talking about or who you pretend to represent. But let's have a look at Freeland again, because she is really having some trouble here.
Leaked to the media that the deficit will be $60 billion or more. So is it going to be that higher or lower?
Mr. Perkins, because a Conservative filibuster has blocked the work of our Parliament.
Minister, the only filibuster is your unwillingness to produce the documents.
No,
But I would ask you a simple question. Is the deficit going to be higher or lower than the $60 billion your officials have leaked to the media?
I think that it is very important not to cast any doubt on Canada's financial credibility. So I want to take this opportunity to be very clear that Canada's fiscal position is
Will it be above or
strong and
below $60
sustainable
billion?
and continues,
Yes or no? It's a simple question.
to be
Why won't you answer
the
whether or not it'll be
strongest
above
in
or below
the
60
G7.
billion? Did you?
She knows the simple answer, but she's not going to tell anybody that. The simple answer is no. It's going to be 60 billion plus. She knows that. There's a looming economic catastrophe here. And Freeland's hoping, Trudeau's hoping. You forget all about it over Christmas. This fall economic statement is coming out literally 2 days before winter arrives. Well, it's already arrived in most parts of Canada, at least in terms of the weather. But it will be winter. The season will have arrived by the time Freeland gets around to doing this. And of course, she doesn't really want to deliver this, but she'll do it just before Christmas, just before the House recesses, hoping you don't remember. If it comes back. We clearly need a spring election. It would be better to have one in January, but that's not going to happen now. I wanted a November election. I kept predicting that could happen. Didn't work out that way. But if you think Freeland is coping well, let me show you this again, because this is absolutely shocking. She is on the verge of a complete breakdown.
Mr. Speaker, I wish you had afforded the same courtesy to the Minister of Finance, who also wanted to answer a question. And I think it would be appropriate to make sure that we apply the same standard moving forward. But what I would like to say to the Leader of the Opposition is that we gave him an opportunity to debate that, and instead of taking it, they ran away afraid. So, Mr. Speaker, I am surprised that he's even bringing this up, because when we gave them an opportunity to hold that vote, they said no, Mr. Speaker. But that's just another pattern of their behavior, where they say one thing and do another. That's so...
Well, Freeland looks like she's in the middle of a serious medical emergency, and she suddenly is almost self-resuscitates, comes to, and realizes they're talking about me, or at least that god-awful government House leader, Karina Gould, chief censor of the House of Commons, is talking about her. And she finally realizes maybe she should look alive. It's absolutely frightening. So why do we need an election? Because Donald Trump does not take Justin Trudeau very seriously. He doesn't take him seriously at all. And here's Donald Trump last night on Truth Social. Says, it was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada. I look forward to seeing the governor again soon so that we may continue our in-depth talks on tariffs and trade, the results of which will be truly spectacular for all. Donald J. Trump. Now, clearly, yes, Trump is playing games. He always loves to play games, especially with Justin Trudeau. He's trolling Justin Trudeau, but he's also making it clear with this statement that he's not going to deal with Justin Trudeau. He's not going to deal with a Liberal prime minister who's a lame duck. He had no intention of negotiating with him or taking him seriously. He knows the prime minister in waiting, the guy who is over 20% higher in the polls than Justin Trudeau, is Pierre Poilievre. And Donald Trump is essentially saying here, I'm not going to deal with Justin Trudeau. And that's what this comes down to. Now, this is hilarious. There's Justin with his puppet, Jagmeet, who keeps saying, I'm tearing up this agreement. I'm tearing up this agreement with Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. His bromance with the Maserati Marxist is the only reason this narcissistic psychopath is still in power. It's also, why do you think, and I'm always being corrected on this by you fine people out there, every time I talk about Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau's very bizarre relationship, I fail to point out that one of the reasons Justin Trudeau is constantly paying obeisance and is sycophantic towards the Khalistani extremists in this country is because Jagmeet Singh is part of those Khalistani extremists. And he demands Justin Trudeau bow down to those Khalistani extremists. Jagmeet Singh is everything Justin Trudeau is and more, meaning he is a completely narcissistic politician who is only in this game for power and paycheck. And it says a lot about his abilities as a lawyer to function in the real world, that he is this desperate to stay in power and to collect his pension. But that says it all. Jagmeet is completely under the control of Justin Trudeau. Now, we're always hearing from Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau how well Canada's doing economically. Yeah, lowest GDP to debt ratio in the G7. There we are. Real per capita GDP growth among G7 countries last 10 years. Canada is dead last. Dead last. And I am put the emphasis on dead. It's economic catastrophe that's going to be compounded next Monday. I've been talking about this now for the last 4 days. Pierre Poilievre got this very early in the game. He understands how serious this is, and this could be the literal end of the Trudeau government. But they're hoping you go through the Christmas season and forget all about it. That's why there's the GST break. And that's why there's that check for $250, which will what? Pay for groceries once? But they're hoping that little GST break, and of course I have to laugh at the items that are included. Here's Chrystia saying, oh my God, and it's starting in 2 days. Here's the GST break. Yeah. So those rotisserie chickens that Chrystia Freeland says all of her friends tell her is, if only we could buy rotisserie chickens tax-free, GST-free, it would just make our lives so much better. Those rotisserie chickens. And of course, if we could buy some potato chips or pizza, that would be great too. In the United States, they have Make America Healthy Again. In the United States, it's Make Canada Fat Again, because she wants us to pig out on Doritos all Christmas. And of course, there's a break on the toys and alcohol up to 7%. So what is that? Strong beer? And children's clothes and shoes, car seats, diapers, and Christmas trees, of course. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of money saved. This is the worst example of a gimmick, a political gimmick I have ever seen from a government over Christmas. And reminds me of other Christmases where governments actually released budgets at Christmas, and they were disasters. I think about 1979 with Joe Clark's budget. That was a disaster. I want to show you this poll we took yesterday. Should human rights tribunals be allowed to garnish personal bank accounts? 97% of you said no. 3% of you trolls and liberal supporters said yes. Yeah, of course they should. Yeah, that sounds fair to me, that human rights tribunals should garnish bank accounts. Try again, folks. Try again. I want to have a look at your comments today, because I think we made it. We made it through this trip. We have been able to deliver every day and with these broadcasts, and appreciate your faithfulness. Let's have a look at your comments here. Keystrew 1, you need to ask yourself, who really is in control? Not the corporation called the government. They are puppets. The Canadian dollar down to 70.5 cents compared to the US dollars. It's predicted to go to 68 very, very shortly. Sylvain Robert. Jagmeet is a real traitor. There's no advantage for provinces to be outside the U.S., just tariffs. Brenda Walrath. Deficit is probably over 80 billion. It could be. 60 billion might just be preparation for the worst truth. Sherry Lynn talking about Jagmeet. He thinks his pension is secure, but pretty sure that can change with the new government. Pierre Poilievre could change that. Disconnect from the hive mind, or your kids will be more than economic slaves. They hate human beings. That's Keister 1. Again, these puppets are stealing while in control, leaving we taxpayers, as usual, to pick up the pieces. Jack B. Showcase, showdown if the price is right. Yeah, that's it. Wonder how many Modaferry. Wonder how many members of parliament are not born in Canada. 60 billion reasons to vote them out, Donnie says. US 100 cost me an extra $43 last week. Wow. That's Susie. Yeah, I know. It's not about money. He will make his pension and will stay. Watch. Well, I think that then it's about money, mental man IQ. I think it's anyway, it's nice to go through some of your comments here. I just want to find a few more. GST, what a joke. Prices will go up more. That's all. Yes, Mary, you're right. That's what happens. It's inflationary spending. It's just like, Kamala Harris's stupid idea of giving everybody, every new homeowner $10,000 for a new house. The price of homes just goes up $10,000. It's what happens when the government interferes, when the government thinks it can tinker with the economy and make everything fair. It becomes unfair for somebody else. That's what socialism is all about. That's what Jagmeet Singh is all about. A champagne socialist, a jacuzzi Marxist, a Maserati Marxist, the biggest clown on the hill, sharing that spotlight with, of course, the other clown on the hill, Justin Trudeau. So thank you so much for your comments today. Thank you for watching. But we've got to show you my little Christmas break. Remember the store. Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Please put a penny in the old man's hat.
Ho, 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 ho.
Anyway, the old man, I don't know if that, I was not making an allusion to myself, but, and by the way, no, I'm not, some joker asked me the other day if I'm wearing a toupee. No, it's my hair. It's graying at the side, as you can see. But no, it's my hair. Always has been. I've always had very thick hair. And I know sometimes, actually, I was asked that one time when I was performing, because some of you know, I'm a jazz singer. I haven't done it professionally in a few years now, but I was singing in Ottawa, and this guy comes up to me during the break, and he says, "Are you wearing a toupee?" I said, "No, I'm not wearing a toupee." So there you go. That's as personal as I like to get. Thank you so much for watching today. We'll be back again tomorrow from Ottawa. We're out west right now, getting ready to get on a plane in Abbotsford to go to Calgary, where I'm stuck all day in the airport. And we're back tonight in Ottawa. Thank you for watching. I will be back again tomorrow with all the news you need to know so we can all continue to resolve to resist. God bless you. And thank you for your support. It is appreciated. And we couldn't do it without you.